Welcome to the Energy Layer with Nikki and Klaire. I'm Nikki.
I'm Klaire. Welcome, guys.
We are just always having really great conversations with each other, deep ones. And we came to this conclusion that we should just be recording these and putting it out there. I think a big thing for me has been getting lost in the sauce of perfectionism and needing the content to look and appear to be perfect, when I just came to this conclusion that me being in that mindset of it needing to be perfect for me to put it out there, I actually wasn't putting anything out there at all.
Yeah.
I was just, I was doing so much on the back end part to make it look a certain way that I wasn't actually creating anything at all. So I feel like I've had a little, I don't know, I've just come to this space of being like, fuck it. I'm going to make what I want to make and just get it out there. And I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with the topics that we're always talking about. So that's kind of where this whole idea was born.
I'm excited to be on this ride with you. I think we have realized how much our conversations bring to each other, and we really want to bring that forth for everyone else. It's something that, when you find a person that can have some of these conversations and actually is in a place to give feedback or to ask different questions or kind of call you out sometimes or to just hold space for you in the way that is really loving, those are rare. Those people are rare. And also, I don't think that they're as rare as we think they are. We maybe just aren't in necessarily the communities that for sure have our people in them yet, right? And this is the hope, is that we're going to start creating more of that community with you guys and in-person events that we really want to hold, as well as different things that we're offering. And on that note, what I offer, I work in energy. So I'm an energetic healer. And I started on this path. I think I've been doing it my whole life at this point. Pattern recognition was something that from a young age, I was really tapped into, and I didn't realize what I was doing, but it was a form of protection, right? I think we've all been there of I shouldn't say we all been there. I was really deep in environments that didn't necessarily create a lot of safety. And so pattern recognition for me was really important for my safety, right? And I've done a lot of work around that and how that impacts everything around me and impacted my nervous system. So I've worked a lot with nervous system regulation, and I've created spaces where now I hold space to allow people to come back to themselves, to create an environment that is safe, that is present, that is led by my heart in a way that they are able to come back to themselves and see themselves differently and recognize what is going on and being able to let go and release that from the system. So I have a background in astrology, human design, energy work. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm also a yoga instructor. But it's also about bringing all of that forward in a way that this wisdom that lives within me can be brought to the collective in a way that's opening and expansive for you.
I loved that. And there's so much more to you and what you do than even what you just said, but that was a nice little quick synopsis.
It's kind of weird. There's not really human words in a lot of ways to be able to articulate what a session with me is like or what an experience is with me. It's more so that it's kind of like it's always been. I feel like people find me in a way that someone had an experience with me and someone told them about me, and then they came for an experience also. And so it's a referral type situation that is deeply embedded in the work that I've done and the way that I hold myself to being in service in this way.
What's so fun about this, what we're doing right now, is giving people like you the platform to reach people outside of maybe your direct network of people. And I feel like that is a big part of my work here and what I'm supposed to be doing as a seeker. I'm just a seeker of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always asking questions. I'm always going out of my way to get to know people on a deeper level because everybody has their own unique sense of wisdom that they hold and they carry. People specialize in different things, obviously. And for me, as a hairstylist, that's my primary job right now. I'm also a yoga instructor. And all of the people that I've met along the way that have helped me on my healing journey and just being able to come back to myself. It's even hard to say come back to myself because there's so many years of my life that I felt like I didn't even know who I was. Like, come back to what? More so this era of my life that is just a becoming what I was always meant to be. And all of the people that I've encountered on this very accelerated journey I've been on for the past 2 years, I find so much importance in each relationship that I've built, you know, whether it's people like you, healers, or practitioners, teachers, other educators, other entrepreneurs and creatives and people in business. It's like, it feels like all of these people were placed in my path for a reason. And it's time for me to come forth and give them a platform to be speaking on and asking the questions in front of everybody so their answers can be heard. I think that's probably what my biggest role is in all of this. But also, you know, in that I'm expanding my own consciousness and knowledge and hopefully everybody else's who's listening. So that to me has just been really important. And I have so much reverence for all of the people that I've met on my path because each one of them have played an integral role in where I'm at now. And I think more people need to be experiencing that. I'm the type of person who I'll just throw myself into a situation. I'll show up to a networking event or a group of people, something random I find online. If I'm like, this sparks my interest, I'll just show up by myself and see what happens. So many people don't feel comfortable doing that. And I understand because obviously that's very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So it's like if I can take my experiences in being bold and putting myself out there and kind of consolidating those in a way that still brings that to other people, if that makes sense, that are maybe not the type to go out and do that for themselves, that to me feels like important work.
It's really interesting. We actually haven't had this conversation yet.
This is a new one.
Around part of my healing journey, part of my Olympic dive that I took into this, again, that like dive all in part, was going to spaces all by myself. Like I was going into group events all by myself because there was this detangling of the noise that I had created on the friends that I had at the time, that if they came with me, I showed up as the version that they knew me as. Instead of when I would go on my own, there's no expectations. And it rubbed some of my friends at the time the wrong way because they're like, why aren't you inviting me to these things with you? Like, I would love to go these things with you. And I'm like, there's a part of me that knew I needed to go alone.
And it's not personal.
No, it's personal.
It's personal. Me. It's personal to the person experiencing it. The people on the outside should not take that personal.
Yeah. And that's the part of when you start to interject yourself in spaces as one instead of a duo or a group, you start to realize like the parts of you that show up even in spaces that you don't have someone with you. And you're like, ooh, do I actually like that version of me? Or am I as outgoing as I think I am? Or where are these opportunities for me to grow within these spaces from learning from the people? Because I truly think like the other thing I'll say to you is when you say like bring healers forth, you have a platform, right? You are a healer in the way that you move through the world and the way that you ask questions and how you activate people in that way. That's a part of your gift, right? And I think that that's the part is all of us in the collective have some sort of healing capabilities when it comes to, on a soul level, this is my belief, on a soul level, when we come here, we drop down and parts of us spur out into other people. And until we have that person in our field, that part of us isn't activated. And once that person comes into our field, it gets activated. And so that's the other part of going into environments that you don't know people. Maybe you go for the facilitator and you're like, I'm there for the facilitator. But in reality, you're actually there for the people that are in the group. And I think that was one of my deepest lessons with the YTT that we were in together, was each and every person that was in that room had some level of activation in my system for my path forward, good, bad, or indifferent. It was showing me something. And that's what I'm grateful for. So I love that you brought that up, because we really haven't talked about that, of like showing up to an environment that you're alone. Like if you're in partnership, you go places all together all the time, right? And so like you show up as the version of your part that the partner knows, right? And then if you go by yourself, it's like, oh, I get to just be me. And what is me?
Who am I?
Yeah.
That's where you have those moments that are like, wait a second, where am I?
Yeah.
Who am I? Who are you?
Yeah.
I have those a lot.
Because those conditioned places of like, this path is really about getting back to who you are in your truest essence before the world told you who you needed to be, and without expectation and without any parameters on it. Like there was this reel that I saw, I think today actually, around like, once you get to your 40s, it's actually about going back to the 16-year-old version of you and loving her so differently that you actually get to become the version of her in this life.
Oh, I love that. I saw something this morning that was it was a reel talking about, everybody, all these woo-woo people saying, oh, just get back to your essence. And it's like, what is my essence? And your essence is how you move through the world, what you say yes to, what you say no to, what feels good in your soul, regardless of all of the external factors, the people you surround yourself with, your interests, the things that you do. All of those things can play a part, but it's like if you strip away all of those things, like who are you at your deepest sense of self? I think that's interesting that we've both had similar experiences with showing up to places alone. I feel like for me, moving across the country, nobody really understood why I wanted to do that. Granted, I had my husband, but I needed to do everything by myself. And it was a very confronting time because, again, I was met with, who am I? What are my hobbies? What do I even like to do? And I was able to start exploring things that, had I stayed in Rochester, New York, I A, would have never had time, and B, I don't know if my perception or my train of thought at the time would have even allowed me to go more in depth into these interests, if that makes sense. And part of it almost comes from a place of feeling like I would be judged. And I did feel judged when I first moved here and got into, like, I feel like it starts with meditation for a lot of people. Once I started getting into these topics that are a little taboo or out there, I noticed that people from home were kind of like, what are you doing? She just moved across the country and lost her mind.
The funniest part is you were losing your mind beforehand, and that's actually why you probably moved.
I'm like, no, actually, I'm like reverse losing my mind. Yeah. I think I'm finding my mind. Yeah. But I would never show up to anything by myself back in Rochester. And I think for me, it's cool that, did you have the experience of showing up to things by yourself here in Arizona, like once you were already established and with friends and stuff?
Yeah.
That's hard. That's harder, in my opinion, to detangle from if these people are still in your field and where you are, and kind of deliberately not telling them where you're going. They live up the street from you.
Yeah.
Versus me, I was like, I don't have a choice.
Yeah. So also what's fascinating is we're both not from Arizona originally. I've been here a lot longer, but so as a kid, when I was 10 is when we moved to Montana from Oregon. And that was like culture shock in itself, right? And then at 20 is when I decided to move to Arizona. Funny thing is I knew I was in this pattern that if I didn't move, I was going to spiral out in a way that wasn't of my highest.
We're going to spiral ham.
Yeah. And I actually didn't tell most of my good friends at that point that I was moving until 2 weeks before I moved. Like I had already looked into housing down here. I had already done research. I had a boyfriend at the time who came with me. And then we also had a friend that came with me. And I was hesitant. Like I even remember telling them, like, I think I need to go alone. But for me, there was some safety in like having at least someone, right? Like Sal coming out here with you, right? There's this essence. And at 22, or at 20 years old, I was like, I'm moving to a whole different state. What? So when I got here, it kind of was culture shock in that way of like I was forced to kind of go out, but I was still in this like confines of like having two people that moved here from Montana with me. And so I really didn't start spreading my wings until probably 2 or 3 years into being here, and started making friends here through school, through different stuff, through roommates that I had at the time that actually were all from Montana as well. So I was like in a safety cocoon for a while, and then got into serious relationships. And so then I diverted for a long time. So yeah, I made new friends here and there, but there was never this uncomfortability of like I'm interjecting purposefully into environments where I'm meeting new people. It would just randomly be like, oh, I'm out with my partner, and then we end up like collecting people or whatever. But when I started this healing journey, the last like 6 years ish, that really was what was the test. And I'm in my late 30s at the time. I'm like, I got to make new friends. I also have to figure out who I am. What does this really mean? And so that part was like my safety cocoon could have been just invite the people that are with you now, like just bring them with you. And there was this very strong like go alone. And so many of the people I met in this process, some of them are in my life still, some are not. It still was an opportunity again for that activation that I was needing for my path to evolve in the way that it is. And those souls that I've met along the way like are so near and dear to my heart. And also I would say is it's taught me that friendship isn't necessarily defined by the amount of time, or soul connection isn't necessarily based on time, right? It's based on the depth in which you're able to go for the amount of time that you have with them. And what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Do you allow it to expand you? Do you cling to it? Do you allow for space for it to breathe? What is that opportunity for you in those moments? And that's been one of the best gifts I've had, that there's so many people that were in my life. And when I see them now, like it's still beautiful. And also there's not pressure there of like, oh, we need to talk every day, or we need to like make sure we're meeting up, or like whatever that is. There's no hard feelings. It's just different. I don't know. And that's the part of, I think, the versions of us that existed prior to like kind of going on this journey of self-discovery was, I don't know about for you, but like that 4 in our human design of being the people person, we like to collect people, and we want to collect them forever. And we want to hold on to them real tight and squeeze them and like love on them and have them love on us and all of those things. But the thing is like the beauty of all of it is that time doesn't really exist anyway. So why hold on?
And the non-attachment that comes with that. I almost had friendship or relationship standards that I don't really actually know where they came from, and they weren't they weren't real. Before I started this journey of self-discovery, there was always this part of me that wanted the depth with friends that I had at the time who could not go there with me. And I was giving so much of my energy, asking the questions, being the support system, being the therapist, the advice giver, the person that was like that steady rock, the person that was always there for these people that honestly, I don't even think could really even show up for themselves. It's like I was finding that I was filling in these gaps for people. And it got to the point where, you're reflecting on it and it's like, are we even friends? Because maybe this is pretty one-sided. And I started to realize what I want, the type of relationships that I want to have are so much deeper than some people are able to give me. And people can only be as deep with you as they're able to get with themselves. And that's hard and confronting, uncomfortable work. So I think for me, in all of that. Now, being on the other side, it's like I have so much compassion now. Instead of getting frustrated, I'd get frustrated when people wouldn't meet me with that same depth. Like I couldn't understand why. And now I just have compassion for them. And everybody's on their own timeline and they're going to unfold exactly as they should, just as I have. And it could be parallel, it could not be, but it's just all of being able to view all of those little things, the little setbacks, the beauty, being able to just sit with all of it and appreciate it for what it is, what it was. And again, have no attachment.
Yeah, that piece of like, I think it was Joe Dispenza's book that talks about it's not non-attachment, it's just unattached, right? It's like it's not being attached to the outcome, but not creating walls around yourself to not have any form of connection, right? Because I think people hear the word attachment and they're like, I can't be attached. And in reality, it's like, yeah, if anything it's that idea too of like, does it own you? If it owns you, then is it really of your highest, right? It, if it is all consuming in a way that you are unable to function outside of it, you're too in it. You're too attached. It's really about being able to look outside of yourself, further down the road, and know that that's where you want to get to, but be okay with whatever path you go on. Don't be hyper focused on, I can only walk this direction at this speed, at this way to be able to get to that place. It's that, no, the nuggets along the way is the gift in what gets you there. Right. And that's the same thing with relationships, I feel like, and friendships, and really being able to be like, yeah, I want this person in my life forever. And also, if me holding on to you, like we're going to be together forever, puts pressure on our relationship in a way that it actually can't survive, I'm negating the joy that we get to have for this connection for what it is.
Right now.
Yeah, in this present moment. Because everything exists already, right? Energy can't be destroyed nor created. It just is. And so everything's already in our field. It is. It won't miss us. And that's the beauty of when you can really get centered in that present moment and just be so grateful for everything that you have and everything that is coming and everything that is you, and making space for opportunity for connection, which is really what I think we came here for this humanist for, gets tested very often, of not going into our protective state where we're not open to creating connection at the depth in which it's meant to be created either. There's like that idea that I've given. And when we talk about depth, I'm like, her and I, we have like deep sea diving certifications. in emotional connections and questions that we ask. And it's sometimes hard. And I have a couple other people in my fields that are able to meet me at that depth. And it's a beautiful, beautiful gift. And also sometimes it creates a standard for other people that it is hard. It's hard to create connection when we have deep sea gear on and someone just wants to put scuba gear on and stay at the surface. They can see us, but it is this mass difference.
That's such a good analogy.
Have I not told you that one yet?
Like people that just got on their little swim trunks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And we have on all of our deep sea diving gear, our oxygen tanks.
Yep.
Ready to go down there for like 48 hours. No, I'm afraid of the water. I'd never do that. But no, but for real, where does the ego start to play into that, in your opinion? Like to be at this point of knowing the depth that you have, the depth that you want to have within your relationships, kind of having that standard. Does it become egoic at a point that then you aren't really interested in the people or things that aren't really meeting you at that point?
I don't think it comes from that place. I think it comes from the place of the fear of not being met at the depth, in the misunderstanding of the depth that you carry, in people, because I really do think the ego lives in the fear place, right? And it lives in anger as well. We can understand the people that are in scuba gear just hanging out because we're them. We've just decided to put gear on in a way that we're going deeper because our system was like, you got to go deeper. Like to get to your truth, to get to your authenticity. I don't even really want to say that word, but like to get to that place of like your heart opens up deeper when you have someone meet you there in a way that you feel so seen and so witnessed and so valued for that depth. So I would say for me, in my perspective, the ego shows up in that place of here's my depth and this is where I'm staying. I don't want to go to the surface with you. I think that's where it's at. Of like our human duality is that we can have surfacey conversations. And is there a place for that? I think so. But I think the ego pushes it to this place of like, that's all it is. If it's not that depth, I don't want any of it.
Yes. Okay. I'm
Tracking.
I'm seeing your articulation. And
Yes.
That's a great way to put what I'm thinking in my brain into better verbiage because I don't view it as an ego thing for me. I'm not coming from a place of feeling like, oh, well, I'm better than XYZ, or I'm better than these people, or I know more, or I've done the work, or I'm so much more healed. Like, I don't know. I'm not coming from whatever that is.
And I think that that's where nervous system regulation comes in. Even that book that we're both reading right now, and that page that I read to you around, can you meet someone at their nervous system and with curiosity and compassion and non-judgment? And that was like for me, really, because I'm like, I help with nervous system regulation. It's not saying that we need to walk around regulated all the time. It means what is our level of awareness of when we have a response to something? Are we coming from a regulated state or are we coming from a reactive state? And is it in a place of like fight or flight and we're like wanting to fight in that moment, right? And so that part of that is, there is a beauty in having the scuba gear on because you're at least even saying you want to get in the water and put the gear on and you're curious around what the depth is. There's beauty in that. The curiosity comes from can I ask questions that maybe is going to pull them into that depth instead of the expectation that they just meet me there, even though their nervous system is like, I am not fucking safe to do that.
And being okay with the fact that they aren't on board for that.
Yeah, and that just means where they're placed in your life based on your values may not be your inner circle. And that's okay. But they're showing you something. Again, another level of activation.
I always view every relationship that comes in and out of my life, whether it's one that I still have or one that I no longer have. Let's think about the ones that I no longer have for a minute. As soon as that relationship comes to an end of sorts, and this could be whether it's in confrontation or whether the person just kind of fades out, I always, first and foremost, think, what could I have done in this situation to have made things better, different? I don't know. I come from this place of self-awareness that I'm always going back inward and asking the questions to me around what I could have improved on as somebody that was partaking in this relationship. And I think that there are so many people out there that don't do that. And again, that's kind of where for me the curiosity, I'm always curious. I'm always asking a question, whether it's other people or myself. And some people are so walled off that they're not even, their brains aren't even going to those places in relationships or even just maybe in life in general.
So, one thing I will say to you is, could that be a trauma response?
For me,
Because what is it saying that you had to be the problem? And there was something inherently you did wrong.
I don't know. Probably.
Because that I mean, it's part of like the people pleasing. Why didn't they just love me? Why wasn't I match for them? What created this space that then they're no longer in my field?
What I will say is I used to really spiral into that. That was coming from a place of just wanting everybody to like me.
Mm-hmm.
And now maybe what I've begun to work on or detangle a little bit is I still ask those questions when a relationship ends. But I also then like I'm asking the questions like somewhere over here, and I try to just look at the situation as if I'm not really in it. And so maybe it's my attachment to what actually was going on or my detachment from it. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
And so now when that happens, I'll just think about it for a little blip of time versus ruminating and letting it make me feel like crappy.
Well, and that's where the healing comes in, right? That the work that you've done creates space for you to be self-reflective without creating a narrative that spirals you out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's the part of why I asked the question that I did, is because it is a trauma response in some ways.
That is a good question. And that does make me, even just right now, I'm like, oh, I definitely used to do that. And it would upset me for days, months.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would consume me. Like, oh my God, why does this person not love me?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more so just, well, why did that happen? What could I have done differently? What did I do everything that I could? And I'll think about it for a couple days and then I'm like, oh, I guess I did.
Well, and then there's the question of, it's not why didn't they love you or like you? It's, did you love you? The version of you that existed in their field. Did you love all parts of that? And if those are all parts of you that you did love, and they didn't necessarily bring out the best in you though, them leaving your field is actually in your highest timeline, because it showed you, I didn't give up the parts of me that I normally would have in the past to be liked or loved. I loved me through it. I loved the version of me that showed up. I'm not saying you're not flawed, that there wasn't things that you could have done differently. But if overall you truly authentically were showing up every day as you, and that person was just not meant to be in your field, that's where that gift of that comes from. Did I love me? If I didn't love the version of me that existed with them in my field, thank you. Thank you, universe, for taking them out in the way that you did. If it may have been painful, but the lessons that I learned in that, I also know a part of me that needs to show up different, or it desires to show up differently in the future.
And then that's the lesson that you bring into your next relationships or your current ones.
Well, and that's the place of like people leaving your field actually creates space for new things to come in. And we only have so much energy that we can share. Energy is infinite, and also to be able to make time for yourself and cultivate the depth of relationships that I think you and I desire. That takes a lot of capacity to hold that type of relationship. I think that's why the surface relationships for most is like where they want to stay, because they can have so many people in their life and then they're never quote unquote alone because there's always people around. And that's great. It's not what my soul desires. And those types of relationships that like I want to cultivate that have a deeper connection in them, I know there is more effort and energy that goes into being thoughtful, sharing the exchange of the connection, creating space for that. And on top of it, doing energy work with clients, I know that I only have so much capacity, meaning I can be around a lot of people. I also know I have to step back at certain times, and I need to water the relationships that water me.
Yeah, you need to have that reciprocity.
Mm-hmm. And reciprocity doesn't necessarily need to come exactly from the person that maybe I give something to you that then I get in return over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that that was another piece of it of like, giving to someone in a way that I'm like, gosh, they're not returning that to me. They're not watering me in that way. And also, can I widen my vision to be like, where am I getting watered in that way?
Another point that goes with that, the Energy Codes book by Sue Morter. That was a book that she told me to read.
It's one of my like Bibles.
And it's so good. And in that, yesterday, I was just reading the part about how, like you said, when we come here, our souls are almost like when our soul hits the matter that is our body, it's like the energy from that just shatters and spreads and scatters into a million different places. And the whole book is basically about how to come back to yourself and like gather your energy and bring it back to your core so you can have presence within your body versus focusing on so many things outside of yourself. And one of the exercises, I think it was, is it subject, object, subject? So you as the subject, and I did this yesterday. I was laying out with Sal, and it was like, okay, so focus so intently on something outside of yourself. Like send it love, send it energy. Don't take your eyes off of it. Like just, oh my God, you love it so much. So naturally I look over at Sal and I do this a lot. I'm like, oh my God, I just love you so much.
I can confirm she does do that.
And I'm just like looking at him. He has no idea I'm doing this. I'm just looking at him like really intensely. And I can feel when I'm giving energy to something outside of myself. It's something that I am aware of now. And especially love. It's like I can feel like this stream of love flowing from me to him. And then it's like, okay, after you've taken a few deep breaths and you've done that, call your energy back in, feel it in your center and focus it all back on you. And you see that your perception just widens and you could maybe see like the tops of your cheeks or the tip of your nose. Like your perception literally in your eyeballs changes as you start to whoop, pull your energy back. And that's just what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
And what a cool analogy that is. And if you're listening to this, you should try it. Well, you should read the book because my explanation probably wasn't as perfect as the book's is, but it was a really interesting exercise. And it makes me look at how I interact with the world a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, where do we have scattered energy that was me earlier before we started this. It's like I was worried about what's going on with the computer, worried about this, all of the things. And then it's like, okay, but now I'm here and zoop.
Center back into it.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, what areas in your life are you giving energy to that you're not calling back at some point?
Yeah, I think that one of the gifts of that practice is before any ceremony that I do, I call back my energy, my magic, fully my power back to my system. I disconnect from everything outside of me. I pull everything that I give to everyone else into the present moment, into my space. And in doing that, I create a space that I'm not scattered out here. I'm back in my center. And it's a very powerful thing when you do it
And I think
regularly.
as somebody that's been in ceremony with you, I can feel that. I mean, I don't know if people who aren't maybe yet as dialed into that could, but I feel a difference with how you show up in ceremony versus just when we're fucking around,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And that it's all about intention, right? Like you talking about you being scattered and me being like, okay, let's just sit here for a second and take a couple deep breaths. And sometimes that's all it takes, right? It's really just like getting present in the present moment. And that is really hard to do. I'm not sugarcoating it, that like my system has a really easy time doing it for the most part. Are there days that I struggle? 100%.
It's practiced though.
It's practiced, and it's something that has come very natural to me from a very young age, right? Just being able to be the grounded force within my system, that whatever environment I was in, I was anchored, like I had to be that for safety before. And so for me, those always feel so empowering when I get that in that moment and get intentional around that way. And also, sometimes that's just something that again, it's like anything else. It's a muscle. You have to work it out.
For me, that's been harder. I was not grounded at all ever. You know what I mean? Like it's still something I struggle with even despite all of the things that I do and the daily practices that I have, you know. I'm able to drop into it a lot quicker now and I have so much more awareness around what's going on in my body, but it's not easy for me all the time.
Yeah. And that's where the work really can become so beneficial. Like one of the parts of me, of the work that I've done, is I was so wrapped up in safety, being the house that I lived in. So the structure that I owned, that was like how I created safety within my system, was like, no one can take this away from me. My house is my house. And with the partnership that I've had, um, that part kind of started to dissolve. And I then didn't have a house that was mine and started renting a house. And that kicked my nervous system into this really weird place, because around that same time, I lost my family cabin that my grandma had passed away, and we didn't get to keep it in the family. And there's a whole thing there. But it was kind of like these roots of safety that I thought I had, the illusion was like no longer there. And so for me, getting present in that time, no fucking way. No fucking way. My nervous system was like, nope. Even though I was grounded, no. Like whatever practice I had at that point, not good enough. And so I started therapy and realized like, okay, and yoga has also taught me this. I am my home. I am my safety. Safety lives within me. And it is that part of understanding that I can create home wherever I go. And I think that's part of the work that I do, is there's this instantaneous sense of home when people get around me, because of the way that my field is when I get intentional and I drop in. That's the gift of being able to get to a regulated place, being able to go into the places that you are reactive or have a nervous system who's out of it's out of control, and then being able to be like, nope, okay, guys, call it back in. Let's do this. And getting quiet for a minute. And not that the noise doesn't stay, but that the chaos in my external world softens. And I get into my breath and I get into my energy. And then I come home.
I always like the tangibles. What would be one tangible practice that somebody could do that's listening right now, that's new to all of this, that wants to have that feeling of coming home to themselves? Could you think of one little thing they could do that kind of can start getting them on that trajectory?
Easiest one, putting bare feet on grass and doing your nervous system heel drops. And that is as simple as standing in the grass. You can just stand in the grass and put your hand on your heart, hand on your solar plexus. Just stand there and breathe, getting present with your breath while standing on the earth, resetting in that way. And adding into it would be going up on your tippy toes and then just allowing your heels to drop down to the ground. The other part is if your shoulders feel the weight of the world, shoulder drops also help in that moment. Just dropping it down.
I got to go do that right now, I think.
That's like the easiest part of, and just saying, I am home. I am safe. That part of you, it takes milliseconds.
And it does make a difference.
We would love the opportunity for you guys to ask questions and to maybe contact us about different topics that you would love to hear from us on, so that we can start diving in a little bit deeper into different avenues and just having us co-collaborate in this way about a topic that maybe we haven't thought of, that is something that you guys really want, or maybe it's something that we have thought of that then we'll bring it forth to come up sooner. So we appreciate you being present with us today and allowing us into your life in the way that we do. We hope that you've had an opportunity to expand with us today and deepen into who you are while listening to us.
Thank you for being here, and I do hope that this conversation was expansive. I know that every time we have conversations, even just the two of us when we're sitting on the couch with no cameras or no setup, I always feel the expansion. And it makes me feel good, and I want more people to feel that way. So stay tuned for all of our conversations to come, and thank you. Satnam, bitch.